There once lived a man who had everything. His name was Mr. Darius. In the eyes of many people, he was one of the richest men in the region. His businesses were successful, his properties spread across the city, and his name carried weight wherever it was mentioned. But wealth was not the reason people respected him. What made Mr. Darius different was his heart. In a world where wealth often builds walls between people, Mr. Darius believed wealth should build bridges. He believed money had a purpose far greater than comfort. To him, money was meant to create opportunity for others. Every year when schools reopened, parents from struggling families would gather outside his office. Some carried school letters, some carried documents from principals, others came with nothing but hope. Many of them could not afford to pay their children's school fees. Education was their children's only chance for a better future, yet it was often the first dream to disappear when money was not available. Mr. Darius understood this deeply. He would sit quietly and listen as each parent explained their situation. Some spoke with embarrassment, some spoke with tears. And when they finished, Mr. Darius would calmly open his drawer, take out his checkbook, and write the amount needed. He paid school fees for children whose parents could not afford education. Not just a few children, hundreds, year after year. Many of those children would later become doctors, engineers, teachers, and leaders. But before their success stories began, they were simply children with dreams and empty pockets. And Mr. Darius gave those dreams a chance to survive. His generosity went beyond education. Whenever he heard that a family was living in a broken house with a leaking roof, he would quietly send builders to inspect the home. Within weeks, the old structure would be replaced with a new one, a house strong enough to withstand storms, a home where children could sleep safely. In the community, people often said something about him. They said that if Mr. Darius heard about your problem, it would not remain your problem for long. He also repaired roads that had been ignored for years. Farmers who once struggled to transport their crops through muddy roads could finally reach the markets. Small businesses began to grow, families began to prosper. And everywhere he went, people greeted him with deep respect. Some called him a philanthropist, others called him a blessing. But to many people, Mr. Darius was something even greater. He was hope. Yet behind the success and generosity, there was one quiet truth that very few people knew. Despite all the lives he helped, despite all the wealth he possessed, there was one thing life never gave him: a child. His mansion was large and beautiful. Its hallways were decorated with art and elegant furniture. But when night came, the rooms became very quiet. The dining table was large enough for many guests, but most nights only one chair was occupied. Mr. Darius often sat alone, eating dinner in silence. Sometimes he would pause and look around the room, and in those quiet moments he felt something many wealthy people never admit: loneliness. Years passed like this. Mr. Darius continued helping people. He continued giving, believing that kindness planted in the world would one day return. But life has a way of testing even the strongest beliefs. One day, a business opportunity appeared. It seemed promising. Financial advisors recommended it. Investors trusted it. Everything about it appeared secure. After careful thought, Mr. Darius decided to invest. At first, everything seemed normal. But slowly, small problems began to appear. Payments were delayed. Projects slowed down. Unexpected financial gaps began to appear. Then the situation worsened. What began as a small financial loss slowly grew into something far more dangerous: a collapsing empire. Businesses began shutting down one after another. Loans could no longer be repaid. The banks became impatient. Then they became aggressive. They demanded repayment. And when repayment became impossible, they began taking control of his assets. Luxury cars were seized. Properties were auctioned. Accounts were frozen. Eventually, the unthinkable happened. His mansion was taken. The man who once had everything lost everything. But losing money was not the most painful part. Money can return. Businesses can be rebuilt. The greatest pain came from something else. People. The same people he had helped. The same people he had lifted from poverty. The same people who once praised his generosity. Now they mocked him. Some laughed behind his back. Others whispered when he passed. Many simply pretended they had never known him. Doors that were once open suddenly closed. Phones that once rang with gratitude became silent. Soon, Mr. Darius found himself completely alone. With no home, he began sleeping near the entrance of a small church. At night, he would lie beside the wooden steps, using a thin blanket to keep warm. For a few hours, that doorway became his shelter. But when morning came and church members arrived for worship, they would gently ask him to move. To them, he was no longer the respected man who once built houses and paid school fees. He was simply another homeless man. Eventually, he began spending his days near the train station, holding a small cup in his hand, waiting. Sometimes someone would drop a coin into his cup, but most people walked past without even looking at him. Days became months, months became years, and slowly the memory of the powerful Mr. Darius faded from the minds of the community. One evening, dark clouds gathered across the sky. The wind grew stronger. Soon rain began to fall. At first it was gentle, then it became heavy. Mr. Darius stood alone in the street. He had no shelter. The rain soaked his clothes. Water ran down his tired face. Cars passed by. People rushed home to escape the storm, but no one stopped. No one noticed the old man standing in the rain. Tears began to fall down his face, mixing with the rain. He looked up toward the sky and whispered softly, "I helped everyone. Why is no one helping me?" It was the first time he had ever spoken those words. In that moment, he felt completely broken. But just then, a car slowed down nearby. Inside the car sat a young man named Samuel. Samuel had just returned to the city after completing an international work assignment. As he drove through the rain, his headlights illuminated the street ahead. Then he saw someone standing in the storm. At first he assumed it was simply another homeless man, but something about the figure seemed familiar. Samuel looked again, then his heart suddenly froze. It was Mr. Darius, the man who had once changed his life forever. Years earlier, when Samuel was a student preparing for his final school exams, his parents faced a terrible problem. They could not afford the exam fees. Without those fees, Samuel would not be allowed to graduate. His dreams would end before they even began. Desperate, his parents went to see Mr. Darius. They explained their situation and asked for help. Without hesitation, Mr. Darius paid the fees. Later, he also included Samuel in a scholarship program that allowed him to study abroad. That opportunity changed Samuel's life. He studied hard, graduated successfully, and eventually built a career working with international organizations. Now, years later, the man who opened the door to his future stood alone in the rain. Samuel stopped his car immediately. He stepped out and ran toward him. When he reached him, he hugged him tightly. "Sir? Do you remember me?" Mr. Darius looked confused. The young man smiled through tears. "I am Samuel. The boy you helped?" Samuel could no longer hold back his emotions. The man who once lifted him from poverty was now standing alone in the rain. Samuel guided him to the car and drove him home. That night, Mr. Darius took a warm shower for the first time in years. Samuel gave him clean clothes and arranged for a haircut the next morning. Later that evening, they sat together at a dinner table. As Mr. Darius shared the story of how he lost everything, Samuel listened quietly. Tears rolled down his face, not because of the money lost, but because of the cruelty of people. The next morning, Samuel took him for a drive. Eventually, they arrived at a beautiful house. Samuel turned to him and said softly, "This house is yours." He had already purchased it, fully furnished, ready for him to live in. Samuel also gave him capital to restart his life. Years passed again. Slowly, Mr. Darius rebuilt everything. His businesses grew again. His wealth returned, but this time he carried a deeper understanding. He had learned something powerful. When you help people, do not expect everyone to return the favor. Many will forget. Some will mock you. But somewhere there will always be one person who remembers. And sometimes that one person is all God needs to restore your life. So never stop doing good. Because the seeds we plant in people may grow in ways we cannot imagine. And one day, those seeds may return
to save us.